Welcome into episode 3 of Seat 14, presented by the Field of 68 and powered by Bet River Sportsbook. Today is Thursday, November 17th. We're coming off a couple good wins at Rupp Arena this past week. We're back, baby. We're coming off a couple good wins. We had Robert Morris at home on Friday of last week, and then we had Mount St. Mary's on Tuesday, which is yesterday because we're recording on Wednesday. We're looking better. We're looking a lot better. We talked in last week's episode, coming off the Champions Classic, of things we wanted to see improvements on, things we thought we'd focus on. I think we're starting to see it. The biggest question mark for me right now, which we'll dive into, is how we're going to start to utilize these lineups and the rosters. Who's going to play a lot of minutes? We had a small injury to Lance Ware. We didn't get to see a lot of him for a backup for Oscar, but thankfully Oscar stepped up and put up another magnificent game. He's going after rebounds like crazy. Severe's going, dishing out dimes all over the place. So feeling really good about where we're at right now. But why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're going to get into this episode?
I just want to start by saying the vibes are good in Lexington once again.
They are feeling
Let's
good. Yeah.
go. We're 40 balling teams again. Last year, Mount St. Mary's probably would have gave us a run for our money. It just feels good, man. It feels good to be back.
It does.
I hesitate to say it, but I think Kentucky's back, Todd.
I mean, we got another game coming up. At this time of year, it's a blast, man, especially in Lexington. We got a game coming up again at home against Rupp Arena against Ohio Bobcats on Friday. Then we got a home football game on Saturday, noon game.
Against
it's gonna be
New Mexico State.
Yeah, New Mexico State, I think. It's going to be a heck of a weekend for college sports once again, but especially home in Lexington. I like this time of year. It's a little frustrating, when you're playing, when you're on the team, because you like traveling, you like to get out and do that stuff. We had like a 7-game home stretch, obviously starting 2 games ago and continuing for the next few weeks here. So you don't get to get out as much, and the Brooklyn trips are fun. The Vegas trip they got to look forward to coming up before Christmas is going to be fun. Those things are great to get to, go out and travel with your teammates, experience new cities, play on the road. That's a blast. These home stretches can get a little bit dull because you're playing teams that are a little tough to get up for every night. Like it's, I got used to get that question all the time. Like, how do you stay excited for these smaller teams? I'm like, guys, this is the first off coming off of COVID. They're amped, ready to go. But a lot of these guys, we play young guys. They haven't got to play in front of 24,000 in Rupp Arena for a while. So
and don't take it for granted.
Or ever in a lot of
last
games.
Year we were struggling against teams.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. So this is we need to be relishing in these moments and soaking up every moment. We get to have fans back. We're getting to, these guys need this time to develop and develop that camaraderie, the communication that we talked about after the Duke loss that they struggled through with, how to play together and the things they needed to work on in practice. So these are those moments they need to relish in, continue to build that camaraderie and have fun out there. These couple weeks are going to determine what a significant portion of their playing time is going to look like going through the rest of the non-conference and into the early new year in 2022. So it's going to be, a lot of developmental time between now and then.
Yeah, and I just love this time of year too. Like we got basketball and football at the same time. It was too long, dude. And last season just didn't feel quite the same. So I'm just hyped. I'm hyped that I get to watch NFL on Sunday, college basketball every Friday and Tuesday, usually Saturdays. When are they going to? The games have been.
It is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it just feels odd.
I don't know. I mean, we usually did Tuesday, Saturday. Yeah. I don't recall there being much overlap with the football games, but I think we only got two or three football games left. Is that right? So I did look at the schedule. There's a significant portion of Saturday games coming up, but I didn't realize that we didn't have any the first couple of weeks. So, all right. So we got a guest coming up. We're gonna be joined by Marcus Lee, who is causing me a bit of sleep issues tonight because I have to interview him. We're going to have to do this with him.
Yeah. Where's he at?
He's in Istanbul, Turkey. So I think he's 8 hours ahead, something like that.
So we're recording this at like 8 o'clock.
Late our time. We'll have to do his segment here in just a minute. We're going to do it late our time, super early his time. He's getting up to talk to us.
Shout out Marcus for making that happen.
He's one of my best friends in the world. He's over there. He's been overseas for the last couple of years, working like crazy, man. He's having a blast though, relishing in the moment, getting to play basketball for a living. He's absolutely loving it.
He deserves it too.
Absolutely. But I wanted to talk to him specifically this week because a big portion of the conversation around Lexington and, what's going on with this Wildcats team is Oscar is getting, 20 rebounds an outing. He's
balling,
going crazy. Yeah. But the biggest concern is, do we have somebody that can back him up? Is there people that we can slide into that rotation to alleviate some of his minutes if he, God forbid, gets in foul trouble?
Or has to play against a Drew Timmy from Gonzaga.
Yeah, we're going to need to throw some other bodies out there. Obviously we have to be able to play some stretch four with the way the offense is run. Keon's getting a lot of minutes in that spot. There's several other guys we can rotate in. But I'm getting a lot of comparisons between Marcus and Damion Collins. And I just kind of want to riff with Marcus a little bit on what he thinks that role could look like, whether it's for Damion or whoever else steps into that spot, as Marcus played it for a number of times here in Lexington.
Yeah, and their builds are quite similar too. So it'll be real interesting to hear his perspective on how he would fill in Damien's role, because they play a very similar brand of basketball.
Absolutely. So we are going to hear from our title sponsors with Bet Rivers, and then we are going to join in with Marcus, or let Marcus Lee join in with us, go riff with him for a little bit, and we'll be right back. Let me take a second to tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with Bet Rivers yet, now's the time, because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. What sets them apart, though, is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With basketball season tipping off, get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today or by downloading the Bet Rivers iOS app. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome back to the Seat 14 podcast. Joining us now, my former teammate at Kentucky, one of my best friends in the world, Marcus Lee. Marcus, man, thank you for getting up early over there in Turkey to get a chance to join us. I appreciate it a lot.
What's up, man? It's bright and early. I only do this for a few people, and you happen to be one of them.
I appreciate it, man. He's been Mark for, most of the listeners might not know our relationship. Marcus has seriously been one of my best friends since the day he stepped on campus. We had a great relationship while he's been playing, but has since grown it into his professional career. He's always been there for me, one of the best guys on the planet. So appreciate you taking some time, getting up a couple hours early before workouts just to join us for this little old podcast. Jordan and I appreciate it. So real quick, I just want to dive right into where we're at with this year's team. I know you haven't gotten a huge opportunity to watch them much, as you're on a much different time frame than us, different sleep schedule. And we're only 3 games in. We got a small sample size. So you've gotten to catch some highlights, and we've gotten to talk a lot over the last couple of weeks about what we see from this team. But I'm starting to hear a lot of comparisons between you and Damion Collins. He is also a 6'9" power forward, stretch power forward, long, athletic, bounces quick. My nickname for you, for those that don't know, is Marco Pogo, because of his pogo stick-like tendencies and his ability to get off the ground very quickly. And they're saying, you all share a lot of the same qualities. I was talking to our friend Evan Daniels about what he saw from Collins in high school and compared to where you were at that developmental stage of your career. Are you seeing any of those similarities? Do you got any advice for the kid? How you got, muscle on your frame and everything? What do you got?
I see a lot of things he's battling with. I went through that same battle in high school, or not even high school, when we first got into college. Dealing with, I saw his body frame. He's 6'9" and 200 and some change. That's probably with our body build, that's the hardest thing to deal with, is mentally getting over the body aspect of how do I get into each day getting bigger, and it seems like it's almost impossible to do.
Yeah.
But after that, it's figuring out how to play with this body at this level, and how to make an impact, and knowing that you're a smaller big, how can you play with that? So I think that's going to be his biggest obstacle this year, in his career, is be like, okay, well, I'm small. Oh well, how do I deal with that? How do I change that? How do I play faster instead of banging?
Absolutely, yeah. So we obviously had teammates, like Dakari Johnson, or somebody that's more of a bruiser, that's not necessarily going to play as much above the rim. They're gonna wear into your body and wear you down over the course of 40 minutes. Whereas you and Damion are going to be guys that are going to be able to fly, play above the rim, run the wings, stretch the floor out a little bit. And defensively, it's a much different approach too, because you got to think, there's going to be times where he, as you were, are going to be asked to guard a bruiser, a guy that's going to, try to wear into your legs and try to take you, they need to wear you down so you can't keep jumping up 13 feet in the air and getting easy lob dunks and everything. So, he's going to face specific challenges where coaches are going to throw that weight at him when he's out there. And we need somebody to be able to back up, Oscar. And I think Keon's done a good job at the 4 spot, spreading the floor a little bit. I think there's a couple other guys like Lance Ware that are going to have a good chance to do that. He's coming off of an injury, has played limited minutes in the last 2 games, like I think 1 minute in the last 2 games total. So that spot's open. It's up for grabs. And one of the coolest things about watching your career and its developmental stages is you played a limited role in the early games of your freshman year. And then, it had a significant progression somewhere through the middle. And then by the tournament time, you're putting everybody on notice, like, hey, I'm here. Specifically the Michigan game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard thing to deal with playing at Kentucky, especially when you're not the number one guy. I mean, you're mentally battling, man, why aren't I playing? You're playing against the guys that are playing every day, playing in those games every day in practice. You're getting beat up, you're getting yelled at. You're trying to find a way to figure things out in your head while still staying positive.
Absolutely.
And I think the biggest thing he's really got to figure out is how to be mentally stronger, mentally ready, and trying to figure out how to make impacts in each part of the game in whatever way it is, and trying to stay focused in getting ready for those games.
Absolutely. And, you got to remember for those listening at home or that, these guys are 17, 18-year-old freshmen. The last, before Marcus and Damion got here, their last game's a McDonald's All-American game. They're the man. And then you come to a school like this where, we make it a point to seek out all those top talent guys and put them in a practice gym together and say, go earn your time. And, a lot of those, when they're going to be in the game is going to change. That lineup is going to change. Cal's approach to who we're playing. Like there's going to be times where they're going to get 30 minutes maybe, and then there's going to be some where there's a game that they might not play as much in. So, for instance, Damion, I think, played like 1 minute in the Duke game maybe, but then he came out in the last 2 and he's gotten a lot more run, and he's looked fantastic in pick and roll and those rim runs. I really think he's got a lot of potential. I don't know where his ceiling is, but I think we know where his floor is. And, that's a good starting point for this early part of the season. My take on it is, it's going to take him a little while. He's going to have inconsistent production because he's going through that developmental process. He's a little bit physically immature. He's able to get thrown around by some of those guys, getting down in there on him.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a fun time to watch him because, like you remember, there were days in practice where Coach Cal's like, "Oh shit, Marcus, you're gonna have a crazy game this week," because I would be killing that week, and then there's weeks where I'd be getting destroyed by Dakari over and over. I'd get destroyed by Cat over and over, and KP was yelling at me, cussing at me, making me run over and over. Like I had drooling weeks, and then I had great weeks.
Absolutely,
and that's just what comes with being a younger kid that relies on your athletic ability to take over. And some weeks you have it, some weeks, other people have it, and you have to you got to find a way to fight through. And being this big, you have to find that pit bull mentality and pull it out of you. And we'll see if he's able to pull that out of him and just grind through this year.
Yeah. What do you think it was that pushed you to that point where you realized that, I'm going to have to do this. Nobody's going to be able to do it for me. I got to get in there and, take my minutes and earn my place on this team. And, more so than just on the team, but to be able to develop a career. You knew you wanted to do this professionally. So you had to find a way around that. Like you can't just settle. So you started, I know we had you on a crazy eating regimen. I know we had you on a crazy weightlifting regimen, but there was something mentally in you that changed along the way too.
I think I mentally always I felt was tough. And that was the one thing that kept pushing me through, is that was never a quitter. I was never a person to just to lie down and let you do whatever you wanted to do with me. And I knew I was gonna eventually take over. And when you first go into teams, you kind of have to see what your role is. You have to see how your team is, how coaches things, how school's going.
Mm-hmm.
And after you get settled in, I was like, all right, cool. I know how things are going to go. I know how coaches are going to react. I know how my players play.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can play my game. I can react the way I want to and push myself harder. And it wasn't easy because I had to deal with potentially not practicing that week, not lifting that week because I wasn't of weight. I mean, we all know where Rock's all right, Marcus, you're underweight. You're not lifting today. And I'm shocked because lifting's literally the only thing that's going to help me this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Go for it. I'm done.
Oh, I was just, I don't want to over compare you, but you're in a similar situation. They're going to treat him much like they treated you in your career path. I think there's a lot of things that don't show up on a stat sheet from what you all bring to the table. The biggest thing for me is the shot altering, So you're going to get plenty of block shots, right? But your ability to alter shots with your length is more effective sometimes than getting a block shot. They get a shot attempt. It's not a good one. And we get a rebound and we're off to the races. And you brought that to the table, I think, and really changed the way that we were able to play because we as guards could force guys to drive, like allow them to get into the trees. And then you all are just, standing there waiting on them. And it was a fantastic relief for us to have that as, the relief when you get past us, that we were able to play entirely different defensive strategy and allow them to kind of think they're winning and get into the paint, and it causes an easy turnover. So his ability to alter shots and also the way that you used to float along the baseline and just kind of let our guards get in there and disrupt the defense a little bit. And when they would draw that defensive attention, that lob goes right there to the rim and you're there to clean it up and get an easy basket.
Yeah, I honestly think that's one of the things that we're missing as I'm watching games with Kentucky is that we don't have somebody in there altering shots. We don't have we have a very big body person. Like we would have Dakari. Dakari is a big body person, but he couldn't alter shots the way me and Willie could.
Yeah.
And that's something that's really needed, especially with younger guys is, sometimes you're going to get beat. Sometimes you're going to mess up.
Yeah.
And then you just need somebody behind you to be like, all right, I messed up, but we can make up for that. And sometimes it's not even a block. It's starting to become more of like a hockey assist defensively where you don't need the block, but it's altering it. Them just seeing you come is scary enough, Seeing somebody like me or Willie Colley, where anybody sees Willie Colley come over, you're like, how do it's going from I'm about to dunk this ball to damn, let me put a floater up. Or
I'm gonna be on Sports Center. I just don't know which end of this play I'm gonna be on.
Right. It's gonna happen amazing, or he's gonna have to dribble out and start this whole play over because it's not happening. And I think that's something he can really do, and it's gonna take some time. I mean, we're in November, and let's say we didn't figure it out. People were checking us off in December until we started winning some real games. And
I mean the way that we Jordan and I have discussed this plenty of times off air about the Champions Classic and the way we start. Everybody just wants to kick off the college basketball season with fireworks. So I think the Champions Classic is fantastic. Excuse me, but it's these next couple games over, the last 2 games and the next 5 games where it's a home stretch where we just kind of grind in and focus. As well as I do, going through Thanksgiving and Christmas, all that time off from school with the holidays and everything is spent with 2-a-days in practice. So this is where we really, amp it up, figure out what the problems are, how to solve them. And then when Camp Cal comes around after Christmas is when he really hones in and fixes all those scripting issues and things like that. And we usually end up having an entirely different team come the start of the SEC. The different that they have this year that we had in 2015 is they actually have what we would call veterans here. In this case, some of them actually are veterans. We got, transfers and guys that have, Kellen Grady scored 2,000 points at Davidson before coming here this year. So a lot of these guys have spent a lot of time on the floor, a lot of time playing college basketball. Our point guard that's running the team played a couple years in the SEC. They're experienced, they're vets. And, Oscar coming from West Virginia has been an unbelievable presence in the paint. But those guys together kind of, putting their arms around the younger guys and showing them the way is something that we had the advantage of doing. This team's starting to have it too. So we're really looking forward to what they're going to do. And I'm glad to get your opinion, from the perspective of a big, having been through it. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch them this year. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from one of our sponsors, and we'll be right back to finish up with Marcus Lee. Thanks for joining us.
Let's stop and take a moment to tell you about our friends at Dwell. Their mission is to provide their customers with the highest quality CBD and CBD-infused products available while serving the community with a commitment and dedication to wellness for everyone. Dwell CBD is proud to present their newest Signature Series topical with UK legend Tyler Eulis. At Dwell CBD, they take skincare very seriously, and their partnership with Tyler is an exciting way to share the potential benefits of CBD and other natural ingredients that are shown to promote healthy skin and reduced inflammation. This lavender-scented topical cream contains 500 milligrams of THC-free CBD and was designed for athletes just like Tyler. Get yours now by visiting dwellcbd.com and clicking on the sports tab. That's DWELLCBD.com. Proceeds benefit the Tyler Eulis Foundation.
All right, welcome back. We're still here with Marcus Lee. Marcus, I cut you off to go to that break real quick, and you wanted to make a comment about where we were at as a team progressing through December and how that benefited us and our teams when we were there. So go ahead, tell us what your opinion of the Camp Cal situation, the naps at Cal's house, the whole nine. Give us, how does this help so much?
I think people start judging these big name teams so early in the season, and that's when you really start seeing the team take form. Right now, they're still being molded. These games are great for molding. That's why you put teams like, let's say, Southern University and Central Michigan and the smaller teams that are really great teams. They're teams with a lot of pit bulls. They they throw punches. Mm-hmm. And that's why I really don't judge when we play big teams in the first few games, like a Duke.
Yeah, they're going to throw, and in these other teams, these not the Power 5 conference teams. A lot of them are going to throw different defensive schematics at us that we might not see from some of these other teams, some of the powerhouse schools.
Right, and the Dukes is going to people that they're going to walk in not scared of you, and that's that one game to knock that I'm better than everybody out of a freshman. And that's what that game's there for. If you win, great. But if not, that game is solely there to be like, all right, this is what college is about. Now figure it out. And that's what these next few games are to help you figure it out.
Absolutely.
Then Camp Cal comes, and that's when you really start trying to figure it out as a team. And it's going to be hard for them. And we'll see who are the dogs, who folds, and you'll see it. You won't even see that in video, but you'll see it through who's Coach Cal playing, who he's relying on, who the guys trust in the game. And we'll start seeing that December 11th? They got Notre Dame. That's a big time school. That's a big time school right there. And
then we got Ohio State the next week.
Yep. And then the biggest game of Kentucky history is that Louisville game, and everybody knows.
That's right.
It's the most important game on the schedule, and those are going to be three really hard games back to back to back.
My favorite thing about the Louisville game is how they both want to win that game so bad. Cal and when it was Pitino, Cal and Pitino, now Cal and Chris Mack. But they would always say, Cal would always say, like, yeah, next game on the schedule. But we would get to when Louisville was finally the next game on the schedule, and we'd realize that we'd been preparing for what they are going to run against us for the 2.5 weeks prior to that day. And I always used to think it was, super hilarious that he would, we knew who we were preparing for. That rivalry is the real deal. It's that
a month in advance.
Absolutely.
Everybody knew.
So tell me though, the habits that they implemented into us and KP, even with you, as a big, and like your workouts and the way that you train your body, the way that you mentally prepare for things, what we went through at our time at Kentucky. How much have you seen that mirrored in your professional life now as a professional basketball player? What, do we do things the right way to prepare guys for the league?
I think so, because I think he prepares us not even for the league, but it's a mentality in life. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
KP, I had to come into practice an hour before practice even started,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in a full drenched sweat.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because he mentally and physically tried to absolutely destroy you. So you felt like you couldn't do anything left. And then he's like, okay, cool. Now go through a full practice.
Yep. Those pre-practices were the real deal.
Pre-practice was literally
a lot of people
hell
don't
on
know
earth.
that. We went through 2 uniforms of practice because pre-practice you get soaked. You have to go change uniforms, put on a practice uniform, and then come out and go through a 2-hour practice. Mm-hmm.
So like you had to either mentally get over the hump or you were like, I'm done. And there was no in between. You really had to find a way to like make that step above yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really pushes me and would really shock people when they see me on the court is they're like, man, he has a motor that doesn't stop. Like they're like up 40, down 40. He's playing like he's been playing like he just got in the game, even though I've been playing 38 minutes. They're like, man, how can each Kentucky player can go to a different team and you never see him tired, or you never see man, he quit in his face. You can't show me a player that's in the league overseas that shows quit. And that's because of those drills, those workouts before, those workouts after. Like you don't see that in every college player.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what sets us apart. They hold us to a different standard. And once they implement that into you, it takes hold, and that's, you become super competitive. Our practices, we had some knockdown dragouts in our practices, and we walk off the floor, everybody's best friends, but they wanted us to push at each other. They wanted us to get under each other's skin because they're challenging us to be better. They wanted us to challenge each other to be better. It was, an extremely, it was an unbelievable dynamic to get to be a part of. And I knew, me having been a walk-on, I didn't have as many options as you coming out of school, but I knew what I was going to get out of coming there. I was going to be the best player I could be. And I know that was, part of your decision in coming to Kentucky, you wanted to be the best, and to be the best, you got to go up against the best. So that's been something that's really cool that we're able to, to continue to maintain because of our elite program here at the University of Kentucky. So before I let you go, I want you to tell me, and I'm putting you on the spot here, your favorite memory as a Wildcat, your favorite memory in Lexington. I guess it doesn't have to be in Lexington, but your favorite memory as a Wildcat as part of our program here, as part of the team. Just what sticks out most in your mind that makes you want to call this place home? Because I mean, you've come back. You're here in the off season, so something must have pleased you here. What is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually funny. I have guys on my team that are from the Kentucky-ish area that have played at schools in Kentucky, and they're joking. They're like, "Oh yeah, you're not from California," because like you walk around in Turkey, you're like, "All right, how do I explain where I'm from?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm from California. It's the easiest place to say." And my teammates are joking, like, "No, you're from Kentucky. You're a Kentucky resident." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. I'm kind of a Kentuckian now."
Do you get the Kentucky Fried Chicken all the time? Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Oh,
every time I'm overseas, somebody says, "Oh, Kentucky Fried
Chicken."
Reference.
Yeah, that's my mental reference. Like, oh yeah, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Like I know that they'll know it.
And bourbon.
Yeah, of course.
You got engaged in Woodford County. So Woodford Reserve. You got engaged in Woodford County.
I'm pretty much a Kentuckian at this point. I've lived there 2 years now, outside of school,
overseas. Yeah.
It's been wild.
So how's life over there? How's life in Istanbul? Got any funny stories?
It's great. Oh, I didn't even tell you this. I didn't even tell you my favorite part of Kentucky. Man, okay. We totally missed it.
Oh, go ahead. Tell me.
You'll remember this. Okay. I was talking to AP because he was out here playing, and we were texting back and forth. I missed his game, but I sent him this picture of they have like a little bubble thing where you can put your little controllers in, your video game controllers in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, this would have been great for
The Mario Kart days.
for our Mario Kart, so B Long didn't destroy the game every time he lost.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
so it's like a airbag for the controller.
Exactly.
I love that.
And like, if anybody has heard this story, B Long would literally would go on a freaking rampage if he lost, and at one point Alex had to buy a new system.
Oh, I know. I remember B Long breaking it.
He
told me if he lost again, he was going to break it.
Easily go get. You had to like search and find for one that works.
Yep,
which is easy.
I remember that. He told Alex if Alex was crushing him every round. He said if he beats him again, B Long was going to break it. He took it off the shelf and smashed it. I remember that.
It was hilarious.
That was funny.
That I think those are the moments that really brought us together, and those are the best moments we've had.
Yeah, I think we had a leg up that year because of the Bahamas trip. So, we got to get along and get to know each other and, come out of our shell a little bit. We had guys, snorkeling, and we're going down water slides and going to comedy shows and stuff. So we got to see the side of each other where the cameras weren't always rolling, and, everybody didn't have to kind of fake it and be that, that tough guy all the time. And it allowed everybody to get to know each other on a really personal level. And that's what, brought that brotherhood together. I feel like that's what defined a lot of our success that year. And then obviously we got to be on the floor a lot more with each other that summer playing in the Bahamas and the practices that we were allowed to have before that. So very, very different dynamic, but that I think is a testament as to how close that team was and still is. I've had the fortunate opportunity to be able to talk to a couple guys on the podcast so far, but also, go and travel to games and, maintain friendships with you all and everybody that's when they come back to town, it still feels like home. So been a blast to be a part of. And I want to thank you for your friendship and your ability to treat others the way that you do. I think that's what stood out to a lot of fans with you at Kentucky. Just the way that you went out of your way to look out for you and the community that took you in. You've done a great job of giving back to that. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. So real quick, before we let you go. So tell me a little bit about, your understanding or your experience, I guess I should say, between, where the collegiate basketball falls at the level we played. And then where the G League stands basically in comparison to where you're at in Europe now, because I know a lot of people who have shared that similar situation where they've done in and out of the NBA, done the G League route, and then gone over to one of the top tier leagues in Europe. They find it a lot more competitive.
Yeah, they're all very different games. And I was very surprised. I thought it would have been honestly a drop down coming over here to Europe, but it's insane over here. These games, these players, these are a lot of great players over here, and it's tough. You're over in a lot of different leagues, and they're all very different. It's very hard to compare it to the G League or the NBA or even college, because one, it's hard. You're over here by yourself, essentially.
Especially through COVID, it's been really tough on you all.
Yeah, COVID year was insane, and you pretty much had to be your everything. I mean, there is no fans. You're pretty much doing everything. You're going from the gym to going straight back to your house. You couldn't really do much of anything. But now, I mean, we have fans back. The fans, I would say, are probably the best thing I've ever seen in my life when it comes to fans.
Oh, really?
It's pretty much like, I know you've seen clips of soccer games out here.
Oh, yeah. That's high praise, though. That's high praise.
Yeah. And that's how they treat sports out here in general.
That's so cool.
Where there's no rules.
Yeah.
You have to get used to like them smoking and stuff in the gym, because there's literally
that's so wild.
So they're like probably walking in hammered. They've got like firecrackers going off. They've got flags. They're not sitting. There's no point in putting seats there. There's my little
Love that.
Because they're standing up the whole time cheering. Like it's loud. It's terrifying. It's pretty much college basketball if you only put a bunch of drunk college students in the game.
Hey, well, speaking of no rules, I mean, you are a huge fan of the goaltend, so I mean, it does allow you can just smack the ball off the rim now.
that was a hard thing to figure out, to be honest. Like super hard because like usually you're usually waiting for a rebound, but like now you can just jump up and just like get it,
Grab
tap it, do whatever you want to it, and
Yeah.
then like
That's
my guards are like, go get it. I'm like, shit, you're right. I totally
yeah, and that
forgot I could
takes
do
you back
that.
to your volleyball days, man. Just jump up there and
Right,
pull
like
it out of the air.
it's a great time, and you're not really prepared for stuff like that. And then you start figuring out like what countries you can play better in. Like
Mm.
Italy basketball is definitely is different than Turkey basketball
Mm.
or Spain basketball, where Derek's at now,
Yeah.
and it's all really like there's some. If you go to France, they all their bigs are 6'9", and they all were born in the weight room.
Hmm.
Like they're all. And then you go to places like Turkey, where they all look like me,
Yeah.
as big. They're
Hmm.
all athletic, 7-footer, mobile people.
Hmm.
And you kind of just have to pick your battles, and you get to have a really great agent to really
Yeah.
figure out Europe, because Europe's huge.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
like where America, like all of basketball is essentially the same.
Yeah, and
It's
it's a
just different
small
levels.
world here. Once you're at that elite level, that circle's, really, really tight.
Yeah,
Everybody knows
it gets
everybody, and
really small. Yeah.
yeah, and everybody.
And but
I
I
mean,
think
our
the
go
best
ahead. I'm
thing
sorry.
is that we kind of, instead of like pushing away the people you're playing against, you kind of grasp onto all the Americans and all the transfer guys that are like, man, I grew up playing with you.
Hmm.
What's up? And you when you get breaks, like we have a break, the international break coming up where
Hmm.
everybody's getting ready for Olympics again, and they have to figure out, or they have to qualify for that. So you get 2 breaks a year,
Hmm.
and we're heading into our first one, and you're like, well, you start hitting those guys of, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing for this next 2 weeks?
Hmm.
And
Y'all
you
should go to a
really
soccer
start
game.
creating a bond with those. Yeah, we're going to a soccer game. I think the first day out of our break, and
Okay.
I've never been to one, so I'm hyped.
Oh yeah, you're gonna go in there and go crazy. You'll be the type to body paint.
Oh, if it's not cold, who needs a shirt?
So I got to give a quick story. I've told this story before on something with you. I can't remember where we were, but I'm gonna tell it real quick again. So the day that I meet Marcus, the day he comes on campus as a freshman, I'd been there for I guess a year already, right? Yeah. And I'm sitting in the lodge. I'm in the recliner, I'm, having a Gatorade and checking my phone after practice, just kind of relaxing. And Marcus walks in with brand new team issued backpack. We just got him. He'd literally got to practice, got to like to Lexington, like 2.5 hours before, and we'd had a practice. And this is the first time I talked to him off of the floor. And he walks in the room, and I'm sitting in the recliner. You know what I'm talking about here?
Yeah. Oh, I'm just sitting here
And
like this.
he goes to the fridge in the lodge, and he's back there for like a while, and I can hear him just like loading up his backpack with like a bunch of water bottles, like a bunch of Dasani, 24 water bottles, easy. And the big boys. He's got his brand new backpack loaded up, and he puts his bag on. He's like shuffling past me. The bag's got to weigh like 35 pounds, and I'm like, Marcus, what are you doing, man? He's like, I'm going for a walk. And I was like, okay. And he goes and he walks around campus for like 2.5 hours, and he comes back, and I was actually still sitting there watching a movie or something. And he just kind of gives me a head nod. And I was like, do you see everything? He's like, yep. And walks upstairs. And that is Marcus in a nutshell. He is an explorer. Istanbul. How is it living there? Give me something that's happened. I'm putting you on the spot. We can cut out any dead time if you can't think of something.
I'm actually on the other side of the Bay of Istanbul,
Mhm.
which is great because I get the greatness of being on the coast,
Mhm.
but not in the hecticness of Istanbul, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm probably 45-minute ferry ride, car ride to Istanbul, so I get to enjoy the city life. And Istanbul is pretty much the United States.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's really cool. And it's different. It's really different. Like I wasn't expecting it to be so Americanized over there, but with their buildings, with how the traffic is.
Mhm.
Like it was a big shock for me because when you go overseas, you're like, all right, everything's gonna change.
Yeah.
But it's nothing like that. I can eat on the water almost every day. Like everything's pretty much fresh, pulled out of the sea every morning.
That's awesome.
So it's great. It's waiting on you.
Yeah, I know we got a date set for me to get over there this year. We weren't able to do Italy last year. I wasn't able to come see you in Italy last year because of COVID. So
for the COVID, now that things are opening up, we'll try to pull some free time.
Absolutely. I'm excited about it. Excited about everything you got going on. Excited to have you back in Lexington when the season ends. Stay healthy, stay safe. I appreciate you coming on, man. Love you, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right, love you, man. I'll talk to you later.
We want to take a moment to tell you about our friends over at Liquid IV. Liquid IV's Hydration Multiplier is a great tasting daily electrolyte drink mix that utilizes the breakthrough science of cellular transport technology to deliver hydration to the bloodstream faster and more efficiently than water alone. Just add the electrolyte powder to your water and let CTT do the rest. With 3 times the electrolytes of sports drinks, as well as 5 essential vitamins, Liquid IV comes in convenient, travel-friendly, single-serving packets. It is non-GMO with no artificial ingredients and comes in 8 delicious flavors, including lemon lime, pina colada, watermelon, passion fruit, guava, acai berry, apple pie, and my personal favorite, strawberry. So head on over to liquidiv.com. That's liquid-iv.com and plug in code SEAT14 at checkout to enjoy 25% off of your order. Liquid IV, fueling life's adventures. Welcome back for what we like to call the meat and potatoes segment of the podcast. I want to go over a couple notable stats from the last couple of games. All right. A lot of this came from other sources, so we'll give them some credit. But rebounding, Oscar's got 56 rebounds.
Sheesh.
Over the first 3 games. Okay, the rest of the team has 55.
Unreal.
He's the only SEC player to have 56 rebounds over a 3-game span in the last 25 years, and that's from Cat's Pulse 24/7. It's remarkable. I mean, he's going after every rebound. One of Cal's biggest things is go after everything with 2 hands. He's going after every rebound with 2 hands. Not only is he doing that, but he's putting his body on the defenders as soon as the ball comes off the rim. A lot of young players especially get lost ball watching. When the shot goes up, they watch the ball.
Yeah.
They watch it come off the rim, then they try to go get it.
He's doing the work beforehand.
He's putting the body on them, keeping them off the glass, and then going and getting it himself. And if he's not getting the rebound, his man's not getting it either.
Yeah.
So he's playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a extremely soft 16 rebounds last night with only 5 offensive rebounds, but I think he'll bounce back to his average of 20. So just playing like an absolute beast. 3-point shooting, UK is 21st in the country in 3-point field goal percentage, but we're shooting threes less often than all but 14 teams via
Drives
Hoops
me
Insight,
crazy.
which is absolutely remarkable. You told me this stat right before we started this segment. I knew that it was a little skewed. I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
not ideal to say the least.
yeah. Again, small sample size.
Of course.
We'll be fine. He's figuring out what we're most efficient at scoring at, and obviously, if we're scoring at that kind of a clip from distance, then we're going to try to implement more of that into the offense. But I mean, unbelievable stat line.
Yeah. Just for some perspective, last year they shot 33.5%. This year they're at 45.1% through 3 games.
Which partially is because we couldn't shoot it all last year.
Yeah.
And but also this team's a lot better at creating shots. And we just watched a couple clips from the game from Mount St. Mary's right before we started recording. And we looked at how the vets are able to they're kind of being an extension. The coaching staff on the floor, we're always making the extra pass.
Yep.
So we're getting more open looks as well.
Yeah, it makes me feel kind of like back in the mid 2010s when the Spurs were just always hanging around in the NBA, and they didn't really have that one superstar, but what they did do was ensure that everyone on the team was getting the right looks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And then I want to touch on assists real quick before we move on, but Severe Wheeler has 30 assists over 3 games, obviously averaging 10 a game, but it's the most in the history of Kentucky basketball to start a career. Absolutely remarkable. He's coming in, sharing the ball, making the right decision, and when he makes the wrong decision, we were talking about this as well, and you made the comment, he doesn't hang his head. He gets back up, makes
Next
the right
play
the next time. He's got a short memory, which is fantastic quality to have as a point guard. He's playing with heads up, and he just goes.
He does.
goes. Go ahead.
It's been a while since we've had a player who unapologetically gets the ball and pushes it up the court without any concern. Sometimes I wonder, like, why are we taking so long to get up in half court?
Yeah.
There's always a chance to catch someone sleeping. And if Xavier's on the court, he's going to maximize that opportunity.
I mean, we recruit these guys that are, McDonald's All-Americans and the top, athletes in their class and everything else. Take advantage of it. Push them. Run everybody else to death.
Yep.
Get the ball down the floor. But just to put things in perspective, he's averaging, again, small sample size. He's averaging 10 assists a game so far. Kentucky, as a team, averaged 12.6 assists a game last year. He's single-handedly carrying us.
Yeah.
And obviously other guys are assisting on baskets as well. We're also scoring more baskets at a more efficient pace than we were last year as well. So
I believe they're averaging 18 a game this year versus 12.6 last year.
All of those qualities and, those little things enhance the, our efficiency. Obviously raising the assist if we're making baskets and beating teams down the floor and getting easy baskets.
Right.
So all those things are playing a role early on here. But having vets is, an unfamiliar feeling for a lot of Kentucky fans. And we were talking specifically about that last sequence, the final minute of the first half against Mount St. Mary's last night or by the time you're listening to this 2 nights ago, on Tuesday evening, where Xavier kind of over-penetrated. He got under the basket where he couldn't make a good shot, and it looked like it was a situation where a lot of point guards would turn that ball over. They'd force up a bad shot, or they'd throw a bad pass. He realized, okay, I over-penetrated. The defense has collapsed. I need to find a way to take advantage of this, turn this on its head and give us an advantage. And he made the kick out to the wing, an extra kick from Kellen up to Keon Brooks at the head of the key. And Keon, being a vet, was also poised enough to realize, I'm not in a scoring position here. Even though they're leaving me open, I don't need to force this shot. I need to get us back into a position to where we can take advantage of the defense, who is now scrambling to recover.
Yep.
And we, get into an offensive set and find a wide open shot for Ty in the corner, knock down 3. And those are situations where when you have a young team that doesn't really know how to deal with the scrambling defense, their eyes are going to light up and they get all happy feet and they start reacting. And, our veteran presence out there was able to slow it down, not physically. We're still playing at a fast pace, but able to slow it down mentally, make the right play, make the right decision, and get an easy look.
Yeah, you've heard it a million times. Ball moves faster than man, and they are fully aware of that, and it's so refreshing to see.
Yeah. And Cal's got a concept that I think we've talked about in the first episode on here called one more, and it's something we used in practice all the time back when I was there. And it's something he preaches because that extra pass, like you said, the defense can't react to those. If you bang, 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 and swing the ball around the horn, you're going to get an open look. You're having to make the defense scramble because they can't get to their spots fast enough, even if they're playing perfect defense. The best offense is going to beat the perfect defense or the better defense every time, if the ball's moving the way that we are. So you're going to hear things when, if you're listening to the game from home or you're at the game and you can hear Cal, which he's pretty loud. You can typically catch a couple phrases in there. You're going to hear the phrase one more, and it's going to happen most of the time when the ball is swung from one wing to the head of the key to the other wing. That one more passes to the corner, and it gives us either an open look or a straight line drive to the basket because the defense hasn't had time to recover from the ball movement. So that's one thing that I know he's been preaching really heavily this season. So continue to look for us to take advantage of that as well.
Yeah. So the thing about what we just said with when Keon and the team at the end of the first half against St. Mary's realized and executed upon the fact that they are going to generate the highest efficiency look possible. That doesn't mean the most open look. That means the look with the highest efficiency. That's something that in the past has been difficult to come across, I feel like. And I'm going to single Keon out here, but it's not just him at all. I want to preface that it is not just him. But a lot of times we will get in this mindset where we're taking the shot that we can without processing whether or not we should take that shot. Keon, 6'8", super long arm, super athletic. He's going to be able to shoot over almost anyone in the country if he wants to. But should he be shooting that shot? We got to get in the rhythm of making the right pass and making decisive plays to make the defense react. Once you do that, it should all be muscle memory. Get the ball to the next man.
Well, a good coach, on the other end of that's going to be guarding us, it's going to be defending us, is going to be telling his guys if Keon is open from 15 feet until he can prove that he can hit that shot, which has gotten much better from him in the last couple of years. But I want him to take that shot. I want to force you to take tough twos. Like, I want you. We don't want to be. They're not going to try to give us open threes from guys like Kellen, and they're not going to try to get to. They're not going to give up the baskets from Oscar in the paint. They're not going to give up, straight line drives to the basket from our guards. So they have to kind of pick their poison. So from a coach's perspective on the defensive end guarding us, I'm looking for you to.
That's a win for the defense.
Yeah, I want Keon to take that shot, because if he's not hitting it at a consistent clip, that's our best chance. That's a turnover if he misses that. We get a rebound, we get to push it out. Keon is doing, like you said, a fantastic job of making having better shot selection. And when he decides to take the shot, he's shooting it with confidence.
Yep.
And when he decides to drive to the basket, we made a note in here that pretty early on in the second half, he makes a drive to the basket, wrong foot, wrong hand finish on the left side of the glass. Tough finish in traffic, but went in with confidence, strong. Could have played through a bump. I mean, it was the way he's playing now is drastically different. His mindset's different. His approach to the game is much different. You can see the confidence in his presence on the floor.
He's making decisive and aggressive plays. If he can eliminate as many of those early shot clock long two looks as possible, he's really going to blossom into a special player. And again, I want to emphasize, it's about making decisive plays. You're going to turn it over sometimes. Sometimes you're going to over-penetrate, get too aggressive. I don't care. Make that decisive play, force the defense to react, and then move from there.
Absolutely. And kind of piggybacking on what you're saying, Severe is this team's only primary initiator on offense right now. His chemistry with Oscar has been pretty critical, and you made a note of that. The way they've played ball screens has been fantastic. Severe's job, basically, when they come off of a ball screen, is to either draw the defense to stop him from getting to the basket so he can throw the lob, or if they don't stop him, go to the rim and finish.
Yeah, with that left hand finish. He loves.
He's fantastic at that off foot finish. He does an incredible job of finishing through contact and high off the glass in traffic.
Which he has to.
Exactly. Yeah, he has to, and he learned that playing in the SEC the last couple of years. So it's super impressive with him. But do we have someone else that can fill that role if he's not on the floor? Is Ty capable of playing the same type of offensive schemes that Severe is, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, certainly he's capable. Because, again, what I see in Ty, that we've alluded to in past episodes, he clearly knows what it needs to look like. He just seems to be a step ahead every now and then. But he's comfortable. And that's the most important part of it for me, is that he's clearly comfortable. He clearly knows what he wants to do. He's just not quite whatever it is. Maybe he just doesn't quite have that feel on the court yet to where he can execute it. Probably, I'd say if Severe's executing 90% of the time, he's executing like 65, 70% of the time.
Yeah, and we made reference to that as well. That the thing about the way you have to play here is we need to be playing 110%, all like pushing limits, running teams to death. Yeah, use our athleticism, because we're so much longer and faster and better than most of the teams we're going to face. But Ty, again, is a freshman, hasn't necessarily learned to think at a slower pace. He's just reacting, like you said, herky-jerk movements and brash decision making. But he's doing a better job even in the 3 games since we've seen him, since the start of the year. But it's hard to fill those shoes when you got a point guard that's got 20 assists to his 1 turnover.
Yeah.
I mean, he's scoring on half of our baskets.
Literally.
Or I'm sorry, he's assisting on half of our baskets.
Yeah, he's a part of half of our baskets, and we got to find that from somewhere else, man. Come tournament time, playing against the best teams in the country, you cannot just rely on one guy to be your primary on-ball initiator.
I think Severe is capable of playing many, many minutes, and I think that he controls the pace of the game well enough, and he's conditioned well enough, and he's not going to get in foul trouble. I think we're going to have, a good amount. I think we're going to be able to lean on him a pretty good amount. He's not going to crack.
He's a vet.
But we are going to need Ty to be able to alleviate some of that. As team, there's going to be teams that are going to give us ball pressure, full court press. There's going to be teams that are going to intentionally try to take the ball out of Severe's hands because they see how efficient he is. If I'm coaching against Kentucky right now and I see how much control Severe's having over our offense, I'm going to take the ball out of his hands, force Ty to run the offense, see if he can do it.
Yeah.
Other coaches are going to be doing that. Their job, again, I've talk about it all the time, college coaches' job is they get paid a lot of money to find our weakness. And, if I'm looking at stats knowing that Severe as a vet is, has 20-1 assist to turnover ratio so far, 3 games in, he's assisting on half of Kentucky's baskets. And he's the one that's making the decisions to keep us from turning the ball over. And he's the one that's controlling the pace of the game. And he's the one that's keeping everybody else calm. I'm going to do everything I can to fluster him. I'm going to do everything I can to get the ball out of his hands. They might even face guard him from getting the ball in on inbounds plays after a basket. Those things are all things that teams can throw at us. And a lot of these guys, you're not going to have a guy like Coach K completely, throw away his game plan and change it up and do something like that. But you will have a lot of these teams that, don't have anything to lose, coming up with some kind of crazy schemes to throw at us and see how we're going to react to it. And once something works, then you got the Coach K's and everybody else that's watching these game films, and they're going to be like, here's how we expose them.
It's a cascade effect.
Exactly.
I've just noticed, and if you guys go back and watch these games too, you'll notice, when are the times that we are generating high efficiency looks on offense? I'd say, I don't know the precise amount of time. Almost every time the ball's in Xavier's hands or he is getting the ball into Oscar's hands. That seems to be the only way that we're getting high efficiency looks, and a competent coach is going to capitalize on that, and he's going to force us to put the ball in Ty's hands, in Davion's hands, potentially even in Kellen's. How is this team going to respond to that?
Yeah, and again, I've seen this firsthand year in and year out, where coaches find that weak spot and they just push on it and push on it and push on it until it breaks. Yep. And we had it happen with Archie Goodwin, with his ball handling ability. Archie Goodwin was one of the best slashers in the country, incredibly athletic, fast, played above the rim, great scorer, couldn't shoot well, and could only dribble with one hand. So they just forced him into tough twos and over penetrating with the wrong hand. And it caused our entire offense to break down. Same kind of thing happened with James Young to an extent. Yep. Because he could only go left. He was a great scorer, but you have a guy that's a McDonald's All-American and leading the country in many different categories, and you basically sit on his left hand and force him to go right. And he thinks, all right, well, I can do this, and it puts him in a bad spot. He tries to force something, and again, freshman mentality. So these coaches are counting on those things, and they're going to look for ways to expose us like that. So, like you said, though, we're in a position where we've got all the pieces. We just have to figure out how they fit together. So it's going to be a really fun year. I'm really high on Kellen Grady. Kellen Grady is the reason that we're able to be so effective on these pick and rolls and ball screens and everything else, because he's spreading the floor so much. They can't forget, if he's out there, they can't forget that they have to pay attention to him. And that help side defense can't get over there to help on the pick and roll when Severe's, penetrating into the lane and Oscar's rolling for a rim run. Yeah. It's changing our dynamic even early on.
So what happens when we get Ty involved in that pick and roll, using his athleticism and his new element element of pressure that he can put on the defense, versus Xavier is a smaller guy? If Ty can get comfortable in that role, that's problematic for other teams.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be, again, Cal's going to try to spend a lot of this time in these first couple of weeks and months figuring out what lineups look well together and what type of offensive schematics we can put in place to put defenses in a position where they have to pick their poison. And he's great at it. And one of the craziest things for me to see is fans, armchair quarterbacks and stuff, if we're not winning games, to sit there and pick apart like, oh, we're not running any offense, X, Y, and Z. But when you watch the way that we play and you put guys in a position where it's basketball players making basketball plays, you're forcing the defense to choose, do I want to take the ball away and risk him getting this lob over my head? Do I want to drop back and take the lob away and allow him to attack the basket? If we play that interaction perfectly, we still have to worry about 3-point shooters that can knock down shots consistently from 30 feet with a hand in their face. And we have to choose if we're going to leave them open to go help. Yeah. So, it's the reason that the game has changed, not only at the collegiate level, but the NBA level. It's the game has changed. Yeah. That one simple play, that one simple scheme has completely altered the way that you can guard certain teams.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to, again, that stat we mentioned earlier, that this team is 21st in the country in three-point field goal percentage, shooting them less often than all but 14 teams. I want to see that number go up. If your name's Kellen Grady, you're shooting the ball whether or not there's a guy all the way back in the paint or in the middle of closing out on you. It doesn't matter. We have to get rid of that indecisiveness. Let it fly, man. Seriously.
Absolutely. I'm all for it. Hey, if I'd have played 35 minutes like
you got to tell Todd twice.
You'd have had to put my arm in a sling, man. I'll tell you what. All right, we're going to hear from quickly from one of our sponsors, and we'll be right back to wrap up episode 3 of Seat 14. Stick with us.
La Terrain is a designer watch company that believes in focusing on family first. We put substance over flash, value over marketing, and the customer over profit. So we want to offer a special deal to you for being part of the Seat 14 family. Visit our website at lawterrain.com. That's LA-TOURAINE.com. And mention code SEAT14 to get our most popular watch, a $200 value, for just $75. See another watch you love? Just message us on Twitter and mention SEAT14. We will make an offer just for you. From our family to yours, La Terrain.
All right, guys, that'll do it for us on Seat 14 episode 3 here for this Thursday in mid-November, leading into Thanksgiving. Man, we got one more episode before Thanksgiving. I'm about to go crazy, man. All right? So, quick side note: what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
All right, hot take. Not a turkey guy.
Okay.
I am a ham guy. Deep fried, although recently, last Thanksgiving, I was put on the deep fried turkey, and oh my God, changed my life.
Okay. I think turkey can get a little dry unless it's done right. Thankfully, my mom is a fantastic cook, so she's made turkey well for me. I like the way that she does with the gravy and everything. Oh, all right, but the stuffing, the dressing stuff. Oh.
Stuffing's elite. I think stuffing's a top tier Thanksgiving food, and you can't tell me otherwise.
Fantastic. I can't make it any other time because it would be like it'd be all bad. It'd be all bad.
You're on thin ice there with that.
We'll have we might have to do a whole segment on Thanksgiving dishes next week before we lead into Thanksgiving. Anyway, all right. Another week of home games coming up. We got Friday. We got the Ohio Bobcats, and then we're playing on a Monday. We're playing Monday.
What are they doing, man? What's up with these weird game
days? We got
days?
Albany on Monday. Both at Rupp, obviously. It's going to be, we need to continue to make the improvements that we've talked about on this episode. Cal has. I'm going to go see practice before we do next week's episode, so I'll be able to give a little bit more insight on what we're working on. But I know that we have a lot of building blocks to work from so far, which is honestly, we have more things to work on that we've seen early this year, like a more clear-cut scope as to how we need to approach this season than we have in the last few years past.
Honestly.
I think I can see, where we can tweak a little bit of thing. I don't like that word.
Not the tweak.
Where we can tweak a few things. But overall we're on the right pace and we're on the right trajectory. I'm really happy with what he's doing with this team. In the words of John Calipari, I like my team.
Yeah, this team feels official, man. They really do. They feel official. They feel like they go out there and get it done. And I think they're processing these things when they're not on the floor. They seem like a really tight-knit group of guys. My buddy Barkley, he covers for the Kentucky Colonel at UK, and he said that all these dudes seem very invested in their role when they're on the court, very aware of their role, the healthiest amount of ego possible without having too much ego.
That's so healthy. Seriously, that is a massive thing to have this early on in the season.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of that comes again from having a little bit of a veteran locker room. But we recruit great kids. Cal's had some misses where there's been, a little bit more ego than there should have been, where guys don't buy into the role sometimes. That's going to happen. But for the most part, they intentionally go after guys that are going to buy into the program, and all of them eventually do. Everybody realizes that a rising tide lifts all boats. So it's been fantastic. Anyway, Friday, 7 p.m., Kentucky hosts the Ohio Bobcats at Rupp Arena. Today's episode of Seat 14 was brought to you, as always, by Bet Rivers Sportsbook in association with... I'm going to do that again. Today's episode of Seat 14 was brought to you, as always, by Bet Rivers Sportsbook in association with Liquid IV Hydration Multiplier, Dwell CBD, and Budweiser King of Beers. For the Field of 68, thank you for listening. I'm Todd Lanter alongside Jordan Barber, and you stay classy, Big Blue Nation.
Oh, God. I don't know.
Anchorman.
Oh!
All right, y'all have a good one. We'll see you next week.
I'm ashamed.